Somewhere near you, there's a clematis that looked perfect back in May, and right now, in the middle of July, it looks like it's falling apart. Fewer flowers, tired leaves, maybe even a stem that's gone completely black overnight. Most people panic the second they see that. They flood it with water every night. They dump on more fertilizer to force another bloom. Some grab the pruners and cut the whole thing down, convinced it's finished. Every one of those reactions is the actual thing that cost you next year's flowers, not the plant. Here's the truth. If your clematis looks tired right now, it's probably not dying. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do in July. But there's one specific symptom on the big-flowered varieties that convinces even experienced gardeners the plant is dead when it's completely fine. Misread it, and you can lose months of growth over nothing. Stick around, it's move number 5, and it might be the single most useful thing you learn about this plant all year. This is your complete July Clematis Reset, what to do right now, and the 2 reactions to avoid completely. Before we start, drop your growing zone or state in the comments because clematis behaves completely differently in Zone 4 than it does in Zone 9, and I want this to actually apply to your garden. I read every comment. Let's get into it. Move number 1, cool the roots, not the vine. You've heard head in the sun, feet in the shade. Almost everyone quotes it. Almost nobody actually does it because they think it just means plant it somewhere sunny and stop there. Here's what they're missing. Clematis grows a shallow web of feeder roots right near the surface, and in July, afternoon sun can heat that top layer of soil hotter than the air above it. The vine responds in ways that don't look like heat stress at all. Fewer flowers, paler leaves, new growth that slows to a crawl. In a real heat wave, buds can abort before they open. The fix isn't moving the plant. It's a 2 to 3 inch ring of mulch or compost around the base, but leave a gap right at the crown or you'll trap moisture against the stem and invite rot. Even better, plant something low and leafy right in front of it, like hardy geraniums or creeping phlox. You're not shading the vine. You're shading the one part of it that's actually struggling right now. Move number 2, deadhead like it's stealing from you. Because it is. Once a flower fades, your clematis immediately starts pouring energy into making seed. Those silver seed heads are gorgeous in the fall, but everyone has resources that could have gone into fresh shoots or a second flush of blooms right now. You don't need to strip every spent flower. If you love the seed heads later, leave some. But on repeat blooming large flowered types, this exact window decides whether you get a second round of flowers at all. Follow the faded bloom down to the first strong pair of healthy leaves and make one clean cut just above that joint. That single cut is what redirects the plant. One catch, not every clematis works this way. Some bloom once and they're done no matter what you do. Others bloom continuously on new growth all summer. If you don't already know which type is in your yard, save the tag next time you buy one. It'll matter exactly at a moment like this. Move number 3, train the soft growth before it turns to wood. Everyone stares at the thick old stems like that's the part that needs managing. It's not. Look at the tips. Those soft green shoots can grow several inches in a week, climbing by wrapping their leaf stalks around anything thin enough to grip. Leave them alone and they tangle with each other, and one strong summer wind can twist or snap them. Once those same shoots harden into wood later in the season, you can't reposition them without breaking them. So spend a couple of minutes every week gently guiding new growth into the open gaps on your trellis instead of letting it pile up at the top. Use ties only if you have to and keep them loose. Clematis stems thicken fast, and a tight tie will girdle the stem as it grows. And while you're up there, check the structure itself. Your vine has added feet of growth since spring, which means more surface area for wind to grab in a summer storm. A trellis that held up fine in May can fail once that load doubles. A couple of minutes checking screws, brackets, and ties now can save a season's worth of growth later. Move number 4. Let the leaves talk before the flowers do. Flowers come and go. Leaves stick around for months, which makes them your earliest warning system. Older leaves near the base yellowing while the top stays healthy. Normal aging. Uniform pale leaves across the whole vine. Usually water stress, compacted soil, or a nutrient problem. Brown, crispy edges, heat plus inconsistent watering. White powder, mildew, usually from poor airflow. Before reaching for any product, check the environment first. Crowding, wet soil, mulch against the stem, airflow. Fix that, and most of these clear up on their own. One more July-specific check. Flip a few leaves over. Spider mites love hot, dry weather, and they're nearly invisible. You'll see pale speckling before you ever see the mites. Catch it early, keep the soil consistently moist, and knock the undersides with a firm blast of water. That alone handles most light infestations. Move number 5, the big one, real wilt versus an afternoon slump. This is the one I told you to stick around for. Every clematis grower has heard of Clematis Wilt, and the second a stem looks limp, the instinct is to assume the worst and cut the whole plant down. But most wilted clematis in July isn't wilt at all. It's an ordinary heat droop. A vine looking a little tired at 4 p.m. and completely fine by morning. Normal, not disease. Real wilt looks different. One healthy stem collapses almost overnight. The leaves turn black or dark brown, the flowers shrivel fast, and it looks like the water supply to that one stem was cut off completely, while the rest of the plant is fine. If you see that, don't panic and don't pull the plant. Follow that stem down toward the base, cut it several inches below the damaged section with clean, disinfected pruners, and throw the material away, not in the compost. Here's why this isn't the disaster it looks like. Clematis is usually planted a few inches deeper than it sat in its nursery pot specifically, so there are dormant buds sitting safely below the soil line. Lose a stem to wilt, and those buried buds very often push up brand new growth within a few weeks. The lesson isn't prevent wilt. It's don't make a drastic, permanent decision over something that was never permanent in the first place. Move number 6. Feed for recovery, not for a second show. When spring flowers fade, the instinct is to hit the plant with more fertilizer to force it back into bloom. This backfires almost every time. High nitrogen feed pushes soft, fast, leafy growth that looks impressive for about a week, while flower production actually slows because the plant's spending its energy on leaves instead of buds. That soft growth is also the first thing to suffer in a drought or a storm. If your clematis is in decent garden soil with compost worked in, it probably needs very little extra feeding right now. Container-grown vines are the exception, regular watering flushes. Nutrients out fast, so a light, balanced feed after the first flush usually makes sense there. Either way, by late July, stop feeding altogether. This month isn't about forcing another growth spurt. It's about steady, mature growth that supports what's blooming now and builds the reserves for next year's show. Here's the thing to actually take away from all of this. July isn't just about this year's flowers. Every one of these 6 moves, cool roots, clean deadheading, trained growth, healthy leaves, correctly identified wilt, and steady feeding, is quietly building the vine that blooms even better next year. The gardeners with the vine swallowing the whole fence aren't doing anything magical. They just stopped panicking and started being consistent. If this is the first time someone's actually explained the reasoning instead of just handing you a checklist, hit subscribe. This channel goes deep on exactly this kind of plant-specific detail every week. Before you go, tell me 2 things in the comments. What type of clematis are you growing? Large-flowered, Viticella, Montana, something else? And what's the biggest issue your vine is dealing with right now? I read every single comment, and your answers shape what we cover next. Now go check your clematis.